You're sitting still. Nothing is wrong, and something inside you is already pulling toward the exit. Not hunger, not pain, not fear. Just a low, insistent pressure with no name and no target. Your eyes start drifting. Your hands want something to do. The room feels slightly smaller than it did 5 minutes ago. And if someone asked what was wrong, you couldn't explain it. You're bored. And you have no idea how strange that is. No other animal on Earth feels this. A lion that just ate will lie in the sun for 20 hours without a flicker of discomfort. A cow in a field doesn't pace. A fish in a tank doesn't reach for anything. Even chimpanzees, our closest relatives, genetically almost identical to us, show no reliable evidence of boredom the way humans do. They rest. They wait. They don't appear to suffer from the waiting. But you do. Every human who has ever lived did. Every culture, every era, every corner of the world, the same restlessness. The same itch. Philosophers wrote about it in ancient Greece. Medieval monks had a name for it, acedia. A spiritual torpor they considered one of the deadliest temptations, because it made a person feel that nothing was worth doing. The Roman Stoics warned against it. Every major religious tradition has a word for the dangerous stillness that creeps in when nothing is demanding your attention. If boredom were just noise, discomfort with no signal, evolution would have cut it long ago. The brain burns 20% of the body's energy while being only 2% of its weight. It doesn't maintain systems that serve no purpose. Which means boredom is doing something. Something important. Something that took hundreds of thousands of years to build. What is boredom actually for, and why did only humans get it? Picture a group of 50 people on the African savanna 200,000 years ago. Successful hunt. Food for 3 days. Fire going. No predators nearby. No crisis. And this is, paradoxically, one of the most dangerous moments they face, not because anything is wrong, but because the human brain was never built to accept open-ended rest. Every other animal in that landscape runs the same simple program: not threatened, not hungry, stop. Conserve. Wait. The system idles. The human brain refuses to idle. Over hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors developed something no other species has in the same form, a signal that fires not when something is wrong, but when nothing is demanding enough. When the situation is failing to use what the brain can do. When skills sit unused while the world keeps moving, that signal is boredom. And in the ancient world, it kept people alive. The ones who felt it and followed it explored the next valley when the current one was mapped. They refined tools that were already working because something kept asking whether working could become better. They built new connections when existing ones were stable because stability felt like stagnation and stagnation felt like danger. Over generations, that restlessness compounded. The humans who couldn't sit still left more behind. The ones who could left nothing. In 2012, researchers Sandi Mann and Rebecca Cadman at the University of Central Lancashire gave participants a boring task copying numbers from a phone book, then tested them on creative problem solving. The bored group significantly outperformed the control group. Not despite the boredom. Because of it. Neuroscientists have since identified what happened. When the brain isn't focused on a specific task, a network called the default mode network switches on. This is the region behind creative thinking, future planning, and navigating complex social problems. The part that connects ideas that don't obviously belong together, that finds patterns across things that seem unrelated. It only runs when the brain isn't occupied with something else. Boredom is the condition that turns it on. Psychologist John Eastwood at York University defines boredom as the state of wanting but being unable to engage in satisfying activity. Not the absence of desire. Desire without an object. An engine running with nothing connected to it. The discomfort isn't incidental, it's the point. It's what forces you to find something worth connecting to. And the archaeological record shows what happened when entire groups felt this collectively. The major leaps in stone tool technology, from crude Oldowan tools to the far more refined Acheulean hand axes, didn't happen during crisis. Not during famine or war. They happened during periods of relative stability, when food was available, when threats were manageable, when people had time and the human brain, given time, refused to waste it. Here's what boredom actually is. It's not the feeling of having nothing to do. It's the feeling of being capable of more than what you're doing right now. That distinction changes everything. Boredom isn't the opposite of engagement. It's the signal that demands it. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your brain is running a 200,000-year-old evaluation. Are you using what you have? Are you pushing into the next thing? Is there more? There is always more. That's what the signal keeps saying. You feel it every day. The hand that reaches for your phone before you've registered, you're reaching in an elevator, in a waiting room, in the half-second pause between one thing and the next. That's not addiction. That's a boredom signal firing in under 3 seconds, and your brain finding the nearest tool to resolve it. Your ancestor picked up a rock. You open an app. Same mechanism. Different object. The ideas that arrive in the shower. While walking. While washing dishes. Solutions that appear when you weren't looking for them. That's the default mode network running in the background, making connections your focused mind was too busy to see. Those moments aren't rest. They're a different kind of work. The kind that only starts when you stop. And the guilt. The low hum of unease when you're doing nothing, the sense that you should be doing something, that stillness is a small failure. That's not hustle culture. That's not modern anxiety. That's 200,000 years of evolutionary pressure with no off switch, running in a world that no longer needs it the way it was designed. You didn't create that feeling. You inherited it. Somewhere on the African savanna, 200,000 years ago, someone sat by a fire with nothing left to do. Food was enough. Threats were quiet. And something inside them couldn't accept the stillness. They picked up a stone, started working it not because they needed a tool, not because anyone asked. Because the restlessness demanded something and the stone was there. From that moment, and millions like it, repeated across hundreds of thousands of years, everything was built. Every tool, every city, every idea that changed the world started the same way, with someone sitting still, feeling that pull, and deciding to follow it. That feeling isn't a problem. It never was. It's the oldest engine humans have,